There's been a number of experiments in Denmark where they brought up a group of kids where the reward was peas and carrots, but you had to eat your sweets and chocolate first. And the results were astonishing.
Physiologically, the reason why people get hooked to sugar is because sugar triggers insulin, which is the precursor to serotonin, the happy hormone, and is the precursor to melatonin, the sleep hormone. That's why if you have a big plate of pasta, you feel good and then you feel sleepy. Welcome back to part 2 of the Eat, Burn, Sleep podcast. We are now jumping straight into the second part of this episode. If you haven't had a chance to listen to part 1, I invite you to go back and listen to it now. Let's continue the conversation and pick up right where we left off. So let's talk about food addiction. Yeah, let's do this.
In my experience, it tends to always be the sweet foods. I don't think I've met anyone who I would say has a food addiction where it doesn't involve the sweet tooth, as we might traditionally call it. So Joe Schmo, at the age of 5, has been brought up in an unhealthy environment emotionally. There's very little happiness around or pleasure. In fact, most of every day is pain, and the little person is struggling. And they go to a birthday party, and everyone's singing happy birthday, and there's a piece of birthday cake, and it tastes amazing. And there's a little bit of connection, and there's a little bit of feeling good, and suddenly I'm having some great reactions inside my body and my mind. In that moment, the mind works on the basis, here's a strategy to feel somehow better. I feel good. So it starts to hardwire that. And then we start practicing that, right? On the way home from school, I'm going to get myself some chocolate buttons or some sweets. I meet people at the age of 35 where they're 5 to 10 stone. So I can't remember what that would be in kilos, but a significant amount of weight that they're covering that they don't need, where there's been trauma or drama in their childhood, and where very early on, food seemed to be the thing that would rescue them.
I always wondered when people gain weight as a protection mechanism, is it also physically? Because when you're bigger, you're less prone to being attacked. Is it like a shield subconsciously?
I'm not sure. Look, I don't know whether that's a yes or a no. I'm not sure I've experienced that in the people that I'm sitting with. Mm-hmm. It's much more, this is my strategy to normalize. This is my strategy to feel okay. This is something that enables me to distract myself from the challenges that I've got every day. But it goes back to that definition. When that strategy is something that ultimately is having negative consequences and we feel unable or unwilling to stop, the consequences can be very dramatic on our lives.
Physiologically, the reason why people get hooked to sugar is because sugar triggers insulin, which is the precursor to serotonin, the happy hormone. And is the precursor to melatonin, the sleep hormone. That's why if you have a big plate of pasta, you feel good and then you feel sleepy. It's like the after effect. And the dopamine receptors, and it can become so addictive. The other substance that's very, very addictive from a dopamine standpoint is dairy. And my interpretation is because it's the first food we experienced. So it's the ultimate feel-good food. Because when you were a baby and you were distressed, your mom took you, and with physical comfort and emotional reassuring, she'd put you to the breast or give you a bottle, and you had warm milk. So dairy, comfort, highly associated together.
Going back to our childhood, right? So whenever we have done something good, here's some sweets, here's some chocolate. That relationship becomes really powerful in our minds.
I would get so upset when my son's school would do this. Because I actually wasn't raised with food as a reward. My parents just didn't do that. You didn't get like some food, sugar as a reward. And when my son went to school in pre-prep in London, they would get little Haribo's bags when they did well. It would greatly upset me, but I wouldn't say anything because I just didn't want to create a fuss. But it really upset me. I'm like, this is a bad thing. This is why you have adults who tell themselves, okay, now I'm going to reward myself with a piece of cake.
There's been a number of experiments in Denmark around food with babies, toddlers, and young children, where they brought up a group of kids where they turned it on its head, where the reward was peas and carrots and cabbage and sprouts, but you had to eat your sweets and chocolate first. And the results were astonishing. Astonishing.
What were they?
From the kids' perspective, a pea was an absolute gift, whereas sweets not so much. And there was another study where they literally allowed the babies and the toddlers and the young kids to eat anything they wanted, anything, without any input. Every single one of those little kids formed, over a fairly short period of time, an incredibly healthy balance of food. Naturally, that was their instinct, without all the conditioning, such as sending your kids home with the Haribos because they've done well in a test.
You know, I love that you're saying this. So, because of my job, the thing that happens socially is if I don't know people really well and we're at a restaurant, they're like, be careful of what you order, Yalda is here, which I absolutely hate. I'm like, I'm the naughtiest person ever. The reason why I created this is so I could have fun again.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not because I like being restricted, it's because I wanted to be able to be free again at a time where I couldn't digest anything. But with my children, because I had observed, even before doing this job, that in my social circles, the people who had problems with food were people who had been restricted as children by the parents.
Yeah.
And I knew this person who gained so much weight when she left the home because the mom was too strict with food.
Absolutely.
And she was just having everything. So in my home, you can find junk.
Yeah.
I wanted my children to be able to self-regulate.
Yeah. Brilliant.
You know, I will have chips, I'll have cookies, and recently I had ice cream, and you know, ice cream bought in the supermarket can be seriously junky. And my son had some and said to me, I'm bloated. I'm like, I hadn't actually read the ingredients because it was labeled as a gelato, so I assumed it was an ice cream with sugar, dairy, and, you know, fruits.
Yeah.
When I read the ingredients, it was beautifully marketed as an Italian traditional ice cream, but you had 20 ingredients. It was an ultra-processed food, super junky. So I made the boys read the ingredients. I said, oh my God, look at this, I missed that. And we put it all in the bin.
Yeah.
And we went out to the local gelato place and we bought some beautiful Italian ice cream that just had cream, sugar, and pistachio in it, and that's it.
Brilliant.
But I wanted my children to understand that you can have everything and you regulate.
Yeah. Again, that's you leading by example and effectively coaching them where they make the choices around their decisions. And what you described before, where it's about a parent taking that responsibility on for a child, is never going to work. The child's either going to go one way or the other. Either they're going to completely reject and therefore eat anything and everything they can get their hands on, or they're going to start marching to the same beat and be a zealot around, you know, you cannot put anything in your mouth that isn't X, Y, and Z. And neither of those positions are healthy. You know, I like the metaphor that if you look at a black and white photo and it's just black and white, it doesn't make any sense. It's just abstract shapes. It's the million shades of grey that give it context and make it beautiful. It's the same in our behaviour in life. Extremes aren't helpful. The place to be is in the middle ground, where we're just being responsible and making decisions that are consistent with us, one, feeling good, and two, from the inside out, being good.
And listening to our body is super important.
Yeah, definitely. And look, the notion of food addiction, I would always argue that there is an amount of emotional work that is required for someone to understand the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is going to be pain. It's going to be either pain as a result of some childhood stuff, or that's unresolved, or it's going to be some pain around not meeting our unconscious psychological needs now. If we deal with the pain, changing those lifestyle habits is so much easier. But if we don't, it's a struggle. It's a struggle because we continue to want to press the button that gives us the dopamine hit and makes us feel good, even if that dopamine hit, is we're experiencing for less and less and less per bar of chocolate or whatever the case may be.
So if you had, for example, I have people who have lost a tremendous amount of weight
Yes.
following the eat, burn, sleep lifestyle.
Yes.
But some have gained it back or some back. And I'm thinking it might have to do with emotion, and it probably does. What would be your advice to them as a starting point?
Take responsibility. Start to become aware of and take more responsibility for your emotional health. Start to better understand yourself in terms of how your emotions are impacting on the decisions that you make every day around food. And I stood in my first ever addiction meeting, put my hand up and said, hi, my name's Steve and I'm back then compulsive gambler. Someone accepting, if they've had all the advice in the world around the practical day-to-day stuff that they might change, if they're struggling to implement that, either first time round or a year later after some success, then they might choose to look internally. They might choose to look at their emotions, and they might choose to do some work around their emotional health and well-being. And, some of the things that one can do without the help of people like me or other therapists or counselors or coaches, whatever the case may be, we've touched on. Some mindfulness, some journaling. These are two of the most wonderful strategies that we can do to start to better understand ourselves. And I've spoken to lots of people over the years where they've done food diaries, but all it's been is the food.
Yeah.
What I say to them is, you've only got half the equation there. Write down how you felt before, write down how you felt after. Start to get a better understanding of the impact this is having on your body and on your mind and on your emotions.
Yeah. What kind of emotions did I have when I ate this mindlessly?
Absolutely. Yeah. How did I feel energy-wise before and after? And it's amazing how with the eating the rubbish, when someone actually takes note, well, I felt lacking in energy before. I had a spike, but I feel even less energy now. Well, go figure. Unless someone chooses to be a little bit more present and to better understand themselves, it's difficult to see how that change is sustainable. And I think the clients of yours where it is sustainable, they're probably emotionally healthier. And therefore it's easier for them to maintain it. Whereas ones where it's a little bit more of a struggle, I would have the tough conversation, which is, look, there's a little bit more going on than just an extra ice cream or a glass of wine.
What I find that has helped my client a lot, have a more positive relationship with food, and that's the feedback that was given to me, is we live in a society where food has a bad name.
Yes.
And it's a zero-sums game or a negative one. For example, with calorie counting.
Yes.
Whenever you eat and you have calories, it becomes something negative. I take an approach that is a positive one. So I'm asking people that every day they build a plate with protein, vegetables, good carbohydrates. They have to build their plate so they have all the nutrients, the macronutrients, the micronutrients, the antioxidants, the polyphenols.
Yep.
And to achieve that, you need all these things.
Yes.
So you suddenly start seeing food as healing versus something that's bad.
Yeah. Most people who walk into my office are very clear about what they don't want. I don't want to be overweight. I don't want bloating. I don't want challenges with my immune system. But what very few clients are clear about when they walk into my office is what they do want. There's a real, a significant difference in trying to get away from what we don't want as opposed to trying to move towards what we do want. The former just keeps us focused on what we don't want. And the more we focus on it, the more we're going to do it. What you're describing is a moving towards an environment where you can have a great plate of food that you thoroughly enjoy, that actually makes you feel good inside and out. That's very different to, I don't want to have any ice cream today, I don't want to have any chocolate today, I want to cut down on the wine today, I want to hold back on this, I want to hold back on that. Being clear about what we want to move towards. And what you're describing is moving towards a healthy, balanced diet with clarity over how I want to feel as a result of that. Not how I don't want to feel, because this is what I don't want to eat.
Positive approach.
Absolutely.
And then we visualize it.
Yeah.
Today, I want to feel like this. I want to live like that. I want to feel healthy. I want to feel strong.
Yes.
I want to feel well mentally. I want to have a sharp focus.
Yes. And all I would say is maintaining that clarity over what I want is all important. But having the patience to recognize that we're imperfect, fallible, neurotic, and imperfect, and that this is not going to be linear. Just because on any given day it doesn't go according to plan doesn't mean anything in the context of tomorrow. Nothing at all. But again, we have a culture where we're told that unless it's perfect, you failed. Not true, right?
And this pressure is terrible.
Yeah.
That's why I always talk about damage limitation, not perfection.
Yeah.
And progress. And sometimes it's not even progress because it's just damage limitation. Yeah. So I see health like a wall of bricks. And I always tell people, imagine all these bricks, and some are red, some are green. Green are anti-inflammatory choices, and that can be a glass of wine with your friends because you're in a social setting and you're following the treat system on the eat, burn, sleep lifestyle. So that's a good habit.
Yeah.
And red is times where it was a bit off.
Yeah.
As long as you continue, the wall is greener, all those efforts are not lost. Brilliant. Sometimes people say to me, oh my God, I've fallen off the wagon. Do I need to start again?
There was never a wagon.
I'm like, you don't need to start again. It's life. You just continue.
Absolutely.
But as long as that wall starts looking greener over time, your processes are bettering because the body doesn't understand perfection.
No.
The body understands accumulative habits.
Brilliant.
And yes, if there is one that's off, it doesn't matter as long as you accumulate more good ones.
Absolutely.
You're getting there.
Yeah. As ever, Yalda, I think we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. So much of what you do is so simple, but so impactful. And what you're bringing via your platform is just an awareness of some of the really simple stuff that we can choose to do that has such a major impact.
It's not complicated.
It's not. It's not.
And anyone who overcomplicates it is trying to sell you something. It is simple.
Perhaps we'll finish with that Bruce Lee quote one more time. Knowing is not enough. We must apply. Willing is not enough. We must do.
Steve, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom.
My pleasure.
I will link your website, the Therapy Lounge,
Thank you.
Your socials, and for everyone to find you.
Thank you. You won't find me much on socials, but there is definitely a website that will give you more information.
With 5-star reviews on Trustpilot.
Guilty as charged.
Not 4.8.
Nope.
5.
We are 5.0. Long may that continue.
Amazing. Congratulations and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to all of you for listening to this podcast today. I hope you enjoyed it. It's always such a pleasure to talk about health because it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. Looking after our health is a daily thing, just like brushing our teeth. We've got to focus on it, we've got to do it right so we can live better and happier lives. For those of you who are not members of the platform yet, we have a discount code for all our podcast listeners. You can get 15% off the memberships. Just enter the code podcast15 at checkout. And make sure to read all the articles and all the free content we have on eatburnsleep.com to keep you motivated and informed and educated about living an anti-inflammatory lifestyle.